All right. I hope this is decent quality. The light's kind of dim, I guess. Yeah, the light's kind of dim, but it's really early in the morning for most people, anyway. So this is season 5, episode 14 of Breaking Bad, titled Ozymandias. Apparently, it's a pharaoh, Egyptian king, some tied to some poetry or something like that. I don't know. I tried to do a little Google search on it because I was curious, but then I was like, okay, probably would have been good at as far as comparing it to the episode. But wait, I'm getting unloaded right now at one of my stops. What can I say about this episode? I think I've talked about the fact that it's bittersweet. But we lost another character in this one. So at the end of the last episode, Hank and his partner get into a really hellacious shootout. Some of the guns that were involved were, I think one of them in particular was unrealistic for the particular people they were up against, but nevertheless, they're trying to emphasize there's a lot of firepower against these two guys. One guy has just a shotgun, the other guy has a handgun, even though it has 17 shots. But in the moment, he just dumped the full mag, and I'm pretty sure his partner was trying his best to. I don't even know if he had any slugs in that shotgun or if he was just using buckshot. I don't know what number buckshot. I don't know what size shell. I don't know any of the information. But it's like, he didn't stand a chance. So his partner was dead. He's out of there. It's one character gone. Actually, we lost 2 characters in. So his partner's gone. Hank, the brother-in-law. Now, this is where I think I mentioned this. I mentioned this before. So Walter's Mr. White. That character's like walking that fence. So he's Heisenberg on this side, and then on the other side he's typical suburban dad or whatever. Now, I feel like he was being he overdid it. This is one scene where it's like, I can understand the grief, but I didn't get the, how can I phrase it? So the amount of emotion that he put into Hank being murdered, I think was overdone, because they never had that type of relationship during the whole series. It was pretty much like, but it wasn't like it didn't feel like Mr. White was just tolerating Hank, but it felt like he was a little bit more than that, just like right over that. So for him to break down and basically pass out when Hank gets shot, it's like, come on, man. Oh, and another thing that I thought was so cold. So they're sitting on top of all this money, and apparently Mr. White counted it. So it's $80 million. The guys he's hired to kill Pinkman come there. They wind up killing his brother-in-law Hank and his partner, and they're looking for Pinkman, and then they wind up taking all of Mr. White's money, and they give him 1 barrel back. It's $11 million. Still a lot of money, but oh my God, I can't believe they did that, man. Then they wind up kidnapping Pinkman as well. So you got Mr. White again. He's falling right back into this, like, I tried to explain it earlier. He's falling back. I know I'm sighing a lot because I'm trying to get my thoughts together here, and this light is not helping me out here. It's making me look a little creepy. But this light's not helping me anyway. Maybe if I do this, let me see. Turn it off. Now you can't see me. Now put the red one on. Red lit. Should I do this in red? Nah, I don't know. I should do that in red. Let me do it off to the side. That's actually better. That's a white light, but it's in a different direction. It gives me I look a little bit better. Okay, so what was I talking about? There's a lot to talk about this episode too. Let me continue talking about Pinkman. Yeah, I'll stick with Pinkman. So Pinkman went down this road of, like, he's been betrayed by Mr. White, and he just wants to see him suffer. So he gets in bed with the DA agent, which happens to be his brother-in-law. The agent's dead now, And during the shootout and the commotion, he got away. He was unhit, but he's hiding underneath Mr. White's car. Mr. White sees him and informs the guys after they've taken the majority of Mr. White's money. He's informs them, yeah, Pinkman's right there. So they're about to kill him right there. It's like, no. The thing is, Mr. White's, I think his name is Todd. The character's name is Todd. Mr. White's last protege, he's so smart. He's soft-spoken and so smart, but he's also dangerous. He sees an opportunity here to raise his stock, or raise his value, basically, by kidnapping Pinkman. He's got Pinkman, and after they beat him up and all this other stuff, they got him chained in a dungeon or whatever, he pulls him out and handcuffs him inside the lab and says, let's cook. And he has a picture of Pinkman's love interest and her son, like, basically, hey, we beat the smuck out of you. We beat you really bad, but you can live if you help me upgrade my cooking ability. I'm like, okay, but if you mess up, they die and you die. Picture says 1,000 words. That's a perfect example of it, right? But before Pinkman gets put into that situation, Mr. White decides to add insult to injury, if you will. He tells him that he's the reason his first love interest is dead, because he does it really cold too. I was like, wow, that's some serious. I mean, that's pretty much the only ammunition he had at that point, though. I mean, he's lost the majority of his money. I mean, he just watched his brother-in-law get killed. The consequences for that are so great. Now that that's over, he finds his way back to his vehicle. Basically had a bullet hole in it, so all the gas ran out. So he finds his way back to town, and I tried to explain this earlier. He tries to just try to glaze over the whole situation and try to control it, and he's like, come on, let's go. But little does he know, now I guess I could talk about Marie, Hank's wife. She goes to see Mrs. White, her sister, in order to pretty much out of fear, because she has nowhere to turn because Hank's not answering his phone, and also to kind of like make things right in her head with that situation. So she goes there, and now Junior knows about everything. So I wouldn't say he's being over dramatic at all. I mean, he's taking it like I think any normal person would take it like, this is some BS. How could this even happen? What are you saying? So he's taking it that direction, and by the time Mr. White gets home, he's trying to get their stuff. He's trying to pack. He's like, come on, let's go. It's over with. We're good. But they're like, no, we need to know what happened to Hank. Oh, he's out of there. He says it in so many words. And then something I never expected to happen happens. Mrs. White decides to put up a fight. She pulls a kitchen knife out, cuts Mr. White. I mean, they're wrestling and tussling on the ground, and the whole time in the background, Junior's back there, and he's like, what's going on here, man? And he protects his mom, which I think is honorable above above anything else. Protects his mom. And I'm like, wow, I just never expected to turn like that. Mr. White seems kind of confused about the situation, but he takes Holly and runs off, and it's like, come on, man, don't do that. So he skedaddles. Then Marie comes back, and everybody's pretty sad at this point. It's topsy-turvy. Mr. White then calls. Oh man, it's heartbreaking. I don't know I'm talking like that, but it's pretty rough watching that scene, as they're talking, and then you start to realize, well, he knows he's being recorded, but he wants to to take the full brunt of. He wants to take all the blame for everything. So he's pushing her away from the situation like she didn't even know, which I think is commendable again. But he knows he's never going to see him again, so he's running along with that. And I'm sitting there just, I can't believe what I'm watching. It's been 5 long seasons, man. Almost a year for myself of watching this program, and for it to come to an end like this, I mean, I think it's classically done. Maybe if you would have asked me 2 episodes ago if I thought they were ending it correctly, or if they were getting sloppy, I would have said, yeah, they're getting kind of sloppy. But now I see they're falling back in line with the way the characters have always been throughout the entire journey of the series. I feel like I'm missing something else that happened in there too. Oh, and you know that ominous. It's called God, I know this van. I know the name of this van. I've seen it growing up. I've seen it on TV. It's a Toyota Previa, I believe. I believe it's like a really, really cheaply constructed van that few people had. This thing comes up, and now we've seen this van several times in this series. People who wanted to disappear, but Mr. White's the only character that actually follows through with it, believe it or not. And he's gone with his barrel of $11 million. That's a lot of money, but compared to the 80 that he claims he had, I'm still thinking about that. That was a cold outcome right there. But Mr. White disappears at the end of this. Oh, and he doesn't take the kid with him. He winds up leaving the kid in the firehouse, which I think, again, it's not the best, but he knew he couldn't keep that kid. He would have had people looking for him high and low. But if he just disappears by himself, it's easier. God, I have to watch the rest of them.